I've had plenty of people ask me about this news last week. Let's talk about it. A Norwegian man was arrested for playing the visual novel Teaching Feeling in one of the rare instances of people being arrested over fictional characters. I am familiar with Teaching Feeling. I played it a couple of years ago. It's an 18+ visual novel about rescuing a slave named Sylvie who was unfortunately abused by her previous owners, as seen by the many scars around her body. As her new owner, you can either treat her well, which is the intended route, or you can treat her horribly. It's an 18+ game featuring a loli character, and the guy was reported by a US organization of all things, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Excuse me, NCMEC, Sylvie is a fictional character, not a real missing child. Still, that doesn't stop this US organization from reporting this dude to the Norwegian police. Apparently, he also has other illegal files, but we're not quite sure what those other illegal files are. They might be actual CP featuring real children, which is absolutely horrible, and he should be in jail for that. They might also be just drawings like the visual novel, and I guess the Norwegian government doesn't make a distinction of that. Either way, I don't think people should be arrested over fictional characters. They should be arrested over possessing the real stuff. This news is still developing at this moment. While he was arrested and charged for it, he was not sentenced to prison yet, so whether he's guilty or not, we'll just have to see how it goes. Unfortunately, I see no indication of things changing and people realizing that fiction is not reality. What an opening for propaganda. Hey lolicons, let's talk! Well, I'm not a lolicon, but I do value freedom of expression. It's fiction and not actually real, minus the dumb freak because I'll save the insults for later. Great red herring! That is not what a red herring is. A red herring is supposed to be misleading and unrelated to the main issue. If you are misled by the statement that fictional characters are not real, it's entirely on you. You're dismissing lolis as just drawings and ignoring how they represent real kids. Now that is an actual red herring. They're not meant to represent real kids, but you frame it that way to mislead people. How nice of you to name your own logical fallacy that you yourself committed. Counter-arguing with, it's just a petite and small women, is clearly ignorant as the art depicts children. Again, loli art does not depict real children. You label others ignorant while being unaware of your own ignorance. Lying to both yourself and the people who don't like you won't help. Except, I am telling the truth. The characters are fictional. They do not represent real people. And how people treat them in fiction is not a definitive indication of how they treat people in real life. This isn't even an argument. This is you accusing me of lying. Not agreeing with you is not lying. If anything, it's a sign that you cannot accept the fact that people have different opinions than yours. I'm not lying. You're just in denial. The next two arguments are the ones that I don't use. I don't believe anyone that disagrees with me are predators, and legality is not only different from country to country, it's also dependent on the court hearings. That Norwegian guy was charged with a crime, but not sentenced yet. The law that you cited has been challenged numerous times. Courts exist. Legality doesn't always determine morality, and all charges can be challenged in court, even if the outcome is absolutely disheartening. I do have to say that I love how you point out that this argument is an ad hominem. That's a fallacy that you love to use. And this whole sentence is just your projection. And as you say, it really does nothing to help you. One more argument that I do not use from this long anti-loli PSA is this one. Just because you consume loli doesn't mean you cannot harm real kids. Anyone is capable of that. But I will counter this next argument because it's dumber. While video games have been proven to not reinforce violence, mass consumption of pornography repeatedly has been proven to reinforce it, making this counter-argument a fallacy. You cited a study about how mass consumption of pornography might reinforce rape myth acceptance. And even then, it's a correlation and not a causation, making this argument 4 different types of fallacies. Ironic how the study also encourages media literacy, which is something that you demonstrably lack. I do use this argument, protect real kids because they're the ones that need protection, not fictional children as these antis love to try to protect, and I absolutely love your first sentence. You're a pedophile yourself. You're a danger to kids. That is straight up libel, and you're supposed to be the logical person here. Also ad hominem, as you said a while back, it really does nothing to help you. Both real and fictional porn or rape must be fought. Wow, look at this brave warrior here fighting for fictional children. You have 2 hands, and I think those 2 hands are better used to help real children and 0 to fictional ones. Not 2, not 1, 0. Loli is a genre of drawn child pornography, along with the term lolicon originating from pedophile magazines. Okay, where to begin with this statement? Notice how the covers of those magazines are old? That's because they were banned in the mid-80s. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because they involve real minors, and they have nothing to do with drawn minors. Once again, Loli does not involve real children, and neither is the original book for that matter, ironically. I've seen way worse doujins than the plot depicted in that book. And they're drawn. The only person connecting the two here is you, and you're the one who should turn the internet off and isolate yourself from the world. Also, it's nice to see the supposedly logical and rational person in the room encourage people to end their lives over disagreement. Moral guardians and pro-censorship people in general should disconnect themselves from the internet, like this person over here. The pro-censorship mindset is something that needs to be analyzed. Banning porn that promotes violence absolutely protects women. No, it does not protect women at all. All it does is protect your personal feelings and censor women that want to express them. A lot of violent 18+ content are made by women, so you are encouraging censorship of media that's mostly made by women to protect women? You aren't showing men that it's desirable to perpetuate violence against women, children, and family. Fiction is not an instruction manual on how to treat people. Anyone who uses it that way is not normal to begin with. Even the women that write those violent erotic novels are aware of that. By this logic, you would want to ban video games because they encourage violence. Well, yeah, if it condones murder, rape, assault, or battery, then I'm all for it. Yep, this person wants to ban video games too. Or did you not realize that a lot of popular games are condoning violence and asking you to kill people? Thankfully, video games know the difference between fiction and reality. I'm not quite sure you know. Here's another observation on adult content. Porn triggers the same receptors in your brain that heroin triggers. You mean dopamine? Yeah, the difference is, believe it or not, porn creates a natural release of dopamine, and heroin artificially forces dopamine far beyond natural levels. Also, heroin is chemically addictive. Porn is not. I'm not saying we should ban porn, but it's actively harmful to your brain, your mental health, and acting like consuming it in spades is okay is just insane. Well, overconsumption of pornography is a problem for sure, but it's just as much of a problem as any other overindulgence of activities that release the dopamine and result in addiction, like gaming, gambling, or even social media. There are horrible things about pornography, like the professional industry being exploitative and the independently produced ones being highly competitive, but there's really nothing wrong with consuming adult content itself. Moderation is key, and the same applies to all forms of entertainment. I would like to argue in favor of something very spicy. Porn is a net negative in society, and I hate seeing progressives act like porn is at all worthwhile to humanity. Well, I'm not a progressive, but I do find this outlook incredibly biased. You are seeing porn as a negative in terms of consumption, and even then, consuming porn is not definitively bad or even inherently wrong. You're not seeing it from an artistic, economic, social, and even educational perspective, all of which porn has a positive impact in society. Adult content allows people to express their creativity and engage in their freedom of expression. Keep in mind that drawings can also be 18+, and there are plenty of people that love to not only draw those, but also profit from those. They are also adult content creators, not just the ones that flash their tits out in front of a mirror. Adult content allows people to make products that fulfill demands, creating a profitable industry that benefits all parties involved, which is both economically and socially beneficial, especially if you're an artist and you love to fulfill specific weird niche artworks from shockingly rich fetishists. And yes, adult content is also educational. It allows people to explore their own tastes, sexualities, possibilities of how to pleasure themselves, learning more about sex, sexual expression, even learning about proper consent, setting boundaries, communication, etc., which are also social benefits as well. And yes, the adult content industry has many problems, but so is the mainstream entertainment industry. In fact, there are interesting parallels between the two in terms of exploitation, content escalation, mental health, financial stability, all that stuff. To dismiss adult content as a net negative in society is frankly a narrow-minded point of view that prioritizes personal bias over reality. Just because adult content looks disgusting doesn't mean it's a net negative. And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Huge thanks to all the wonderful sponsors this week. You're all fantastic. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, join the YouTube membership, leave some tips, just $1 down below. And thanks for watching.